Throughout NBA history, there have been great seasons, there have been legendary seasons, and then there are seasons so dominant that they don't even feel real in hindsight. The 2017 season from LeBron James falls squarely into that last category. And I say this because when people usually discuss LeBron and his greatest peaks, all-time single seasons, it's usually one of three. 2013 with his all-time great two-way dominance, 2018 what many people consider his greatest carry job, or even 2009 when Bron was operating at a level athletically so far above the rest of the comp, he looked like he was hitting the speed boost every time he took off. With that being said, I'll be going over why I personally think 2017 LeBron is an underrated all-time season and has an argument for probably the best season of his career. An argument. To break down Bron's 2017 arc, we first have to start with the events that occurred prior. Because coming into the 2016-17 season, LeBron James was already on top of the basketball world. He had just pulled off the greatest comeback in NBA history, down 3-1 against a 73-win Warriors team, record-breaking, against a unanimous MVP in Steph Curry in the Warriors' own arena, basically strongest in history versus strongest of today type feel. He beat them in Game 7, delivering Cleveland's first ever NBA championship. Basically, Bron was on the same kind of high, like hitting 5 black flashes in a row. So y'all should have known Bron was about to cook up something magnificent in his next campaign. And that's what he did. The 16-17 regular season was LeBron at full master in my opinion. Not just athletically, not just strength-wise, not even just IQ-wise, but the complete final form of a basketball mind and a superior body working together. He was dominating comp on a regular basis, becoming more completely unguardable than he already was, which is crazy to say because LeBron never had some seasons under his belt at this point. He was breaking down every defensive coverage and killed against everyone, completely and utterly unstoppable as a player. LeBron cruised through the regular season, just wreaking havoc against everyone he played. The man, as usual, was casually dropping 30-point games, 40-point games, insane triple-doubles, hitting insane game winners, just having fun and just dominating. He was basically at ease because he'd already accomplished the greatest feat ever, so the man was just doing anything. For the season, Bron averaged a smooth 26, basically 9-9 on hyper-efficient splits, basically 55% from the field, 36% from 3, and 67% from the line. Basically a 62% true shooting, plus 6.6 relative to the league average. And looking at these numbers, they're not too dissimilar to the numbers he was putting up in the seasons that people have as his best. Now, that was Bron in the regular season, and that was an absolutely elite regular season. But we know Bron coasted through the regular season. What really elevates this season for me, this 2017 season from LeBron James, is what he did in the playoffs. Because by this point, LeBron had already built up a reputation for turning up in the postseason. We'd seen playoff Bron before, but we knew what he is capable of. But this playoffs in particular, this was some absolutely incredible stuff. In these playoffs, LeBron wasn't just better, he was a completely different beast, and no one in the East could halter his rampage. And the first team gearing to be decimated by LeBron's rampage, the Indiana Pacers.
Jefferson, back to James. Now, Turner trying to guard LeBron for 3 in the lead. The king is alive.
LeBron completely decimated the Pacers. He was cutting through their defense like a hot knife through Swiss butter, getting whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. Indiana tried different coverages, different looks, different defenders. None of it mattered. By the end of the series, the Cavs had swept the Pacers, and LeBron was flirting with a triple-double the entire time. He averaged almost 33 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists, while shooting over 54% from the field, 45% from 3, and what the hell? 58% from the line. This man really somehow almost shot the same from the line as the field. I ain't gonna lie, that's nasty work. But that aside, he completely dominated the Pacers. It wasn't a series. It was just domination. Next up, we got a familiar foe for Bron and Co. The bum-ass Toronto Raptors.
James on the drive. The pass. James.
Per usual, LeBron torched the Raptors. The series wasn't competitive. Heck, the Pacers put up much more of a fight. And honestly, it never felt like it was going to be anyways. Cleveland blitzed them, and LeBron made it look routine. But what doesn't get talked about enough is just how insane this series was from an all-time performance perspective. And I know, it's the Raptors, but come on. LeBron averaged 36 points, over 8 rebounds, and over 5 assists a game in this series, while shooting, now this is where it's ridiculous, over 57% from the field, an absurd 48% from 3 on almost 7 attempts a game, and over 83% from the line. That comes out to a 73% true shooting. 73! That's not just great. That's historically ridiculous. That's about a plus 18% relative true shooting, which is basically unheard of at that volume, especially in the playoffs. Heck, at any volume, especially in the playoffs. This was a complete dominant dismantling series for LeBron James, and this series should be talked about in conversation as his greatest single series playoff performances, but it doesn't for some reason, and I do not know why. The Cavs ended up sweeping the Raptors 4-0. It was not competitive at all. Now, moving on to the conference finals. This series was a bit more modest for LeBron. Not because he wasn't dominant, but because the Cavs were simply steamrolling the Celtics. In Cleveland's wins, the average margin of victory was over 26 points, which is absolutely absurd over a 4-game span. The games weren't competitive, they were blowouts, and while Boston did manage to steal Game 3, it didn't change the feel of the series. Even with that, Bron still averaged nearly 30 points, along with 7 rebounds and 6 assists, while shooting 58% from the field, close to 35% from 3, and 67% from the line. The numbers weren't as godly as the first 2 rounds, but the impact was the same. The result, a gentleman's sweep over the Celtics, and the Cavs walked into the NBA Finals without ever being seriously challenged throughout the East. LeBron, through his decimation of the East, averaged an astounding 33 points per game, 8 rebounds a game, and 7 assists a game on over 56% from the field, 42% from 3, and 69% from the line. It's utter domination of a conference. Before we get to the finals, there's something that needs to be said. Up to that point, the Cavaliers were 12-1 in the offs. Through the first 3 rounds, they had lost just 1 single game. They were keeping pace with the Warriors, who were 12-0 on the other side. And it wasn't just wins, it was dominance. On their run to the finals, the Cavs posted a 120.7 offensive rating and a plus 13.6 net rating. That wasn't just the best offense in the playoffs. That was the best offense in the playoffs, which included the Kevin Durant-led Warriors. And this wasn't just good for that year. This was a historic playoff offense, period. And for some reason, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about just how overwhelming that Cavaliers team was in the 2017 playoffs. And I believe the only reason they get overlooked is because of the team that they're about to face in the finals. But make no mistake, the 2017 playoff Cavs team wasn't just elite, they were historically dominant. Now, on to the finals. Warriors and Cavs for the third straight year. The top 3 players on the planet dueling it out. 2 of them on one team, which is crazy. LeBron dominated the finals. There's really no other way to say it. He put up massive performances throughout the series and became the first player in NBA history to average a triple-double in the finals. LeBron finished the series averaging almost 34 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists, while shooting 56% from the field, over 38% from 3, and over 64% from the line. That's just not great. That's not just great. That's historic dominance, especially considering the level of competition he was facing. But it came in a losing effort. The Warriors were simply too much. With the level of talent and firepower they had and their defense, the margin for error for Golden State was just much greater than the Cavs, and they ended up closing them out in Game 5 in a 4-1 gentleman's sweep. Still, that loss should not take away from what LeBron did individually in that series against one of the most stacked teams the league has ever seen. He played at an all-time level during said finals. LeBron, over the course of the 17 playoffs, averaged an astounding 32.8 points per game, over 9 rebounds a game, and over 7 assists per game, on an astounding almost 57% from the field, an elite 41% from 3, and almost 70% from the line. LeBron increased his output from an elite regular season to an all-time great playoff. He was damn near perfect on offense. Brace practically couldn't miss from any part of the floor while still being elite on defense. Just an all-time two-way playoff run. Too bad it didn't end in a ring, but that shouldn't take away from just how dominant 2017 LeBron James was.